Hey guys, welcome back to my colourful country life. Today's video is going to be my June completed pages and WIPs. It's been a pretty hectic month this month, and I'm actually filming these a little bit early as I'm going to be going away for a few days. I wish it was for a holiday, but it's not. I have to finally head up to Sydney to pack up my house up there, which I should have done about 4 years ago, but it should be interesting. I know I've got a lot of my scrapbooking and my card making supplies up there, and I'm wondering if I might find one of my old Joanna Basford Lost Ocean books as well from when I first started colouring. So I'll have a look, and if I find them, I'll pop some images up on Instagram as well. Anyway, so in June, I managed to complete 8 pages, and I have one WIP that I've been working on as well. I'm actually quite surprised I completed 8. It doesn't feel like I completed that many. I think maybe because, half of them probably weren't colour alongs. They were coloured when I wasn't able to film. But let's dive in and get started. I'm going to start off with the WIP, I think. So my WIP is in this book, Dreams of Dragons and Dragonkin, a colouring book by Raven Phelan. Now, the page I'm working on is the Beekeeper page, and I'm using Prismacolors. Now, I did look up on Pinterest images of the original artwork, and I am basing my colour palette off those. So not necessarily using the colours in the same places, but I am going with the purples, the lavender colours, and the pale sage. We do have some lavender in the picture here, actually, and some bees. So I'm going to try and keep it to a limited palette with just those 2 colours and not introduce too much. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the bees yet, because I don't want to introduce any yellows or oranges or even browns into the page. So we might end up with some purple bees. Now, this page is not going to be a colour along. It is for an event that's up on my Facebook page. It feels wrong calling it an event. It's a tribute for one of our admins to honour her son who passed away a week ago, and he loved dragons, and he also loved The Little Mermaid. So if anyone wants to colour something in honour of him, or if you'd like to leave some kind words of support, pop over into the group. It is in the events tab. Now, there is a post about this up in the Facebook group. I won't go into details here because it's not my place. But yeah, if you head on over there, and you can join in and send some support to our wonderful admin. Okay, next we have a PDF from the new release, A Million Little Monsters, Frightful Creatures to Colour by Lulu Mayo. Now, Lulu kindly sent me across some PDF images from her new book, which is being released on the 27th of June, so it should be available by the time you see this video. Now, I wasn't quite sure when I first started this page whether I was going to go really bright and bold and vibrant, but in the end I decided to go more with autumnal colours, and the palette was going to be quite limited, but I ended up introducing this purple here, which breaks it up a little bit. Now, I did mostly red on the toadstools, and just see they're dripping down. So I had to colour them red. Like, it's Halloween, they're dripping down, it's like blood. That was my thought process behind there. It sounds a little bit gory, but it's too cute to be creepy. These dragons are so sweet as well. We've got all these little creatures down here. This one looks like a cloud, and this one's got a little heart shape on top of his head. So I don't know what these are meant to be. Even this guy, he looks really fluffy, but his mouth looks like a duck's bill. So I'm not quite sure. These ones are coloured like ghosts. This one looks like a little cloud as well. Now, what did I use to colour it? So it's Prismacolor pencils for the pencil work, Neocolor 2 for the background. We've got Jelly Roll Glaze. Now, the Jelly Roll Glaze is just on the edging of the hat. So the hat in the original picture is actually black, and I didn't want to colour over the top of it and add more black because it would stand out too much on the page, especially if I coloured the whole thing with a black Jelly Roll Glaze. It would just like draw your attention straight to that hat. So instead, I've just outlined it with the glaze as well. Now we've got Jelly Roll Metallic, which is the gold that's on the leaves at the bottom here. You can see that, and also on the stars. And the red on the toadstools is the Jelly Roll Stardust. And this colour here that's sort of giving off that sort of gold effect is the Wink of Stella Clear, and it's on the dragon wings, the toadstool, and also on her dress. And this is up on the channel as a colour along as well. I've also used the glossy accents on her eyes and also on the dragon eyes as well. And we've got white Signo just to accentuate the white details on her dress. So that is from A Million Little Monsters by Lulu Mayo. Next up is Denise Klett's Gnomes in the Neighbourhood, and I've had my eye on this page for a little while now. It isn't a colour along, but I used Chromaflow pencils for all the pencil work, and I tried to stick to a limited palette with the pinks, the blues and the purples. Originally, however, I had coloured the inside of the windows yellow, just to show that although it is nighttime, the lights are on and somebody is home. But even though I had incorporated hints of yellow elsewhere on the page, it just stood out a little too much. So I decided to colour over the yellow with my Neocolor 2s, and the colour is still peeking through, given a slight greeny tinge. Now, I could have added another layer of Neocolor 2 and covered that up, but I actually like the effect, so I decided to leave it how it was. Now, the background and the moon were both coloured with Neocolor 2s, and I used a gradient of blue with the darkest colours furthest from the moon, and then I outlined the moon with a white Signo just to create this glowy effect coming from the moon. So I also used Tombow water-based markers to base the moon, and I did that by using my marker on my Caran d'Ache palette first, and then using my trusty water brush, which is right here, to pick up the colour to add to the page. I also used a Lyra aqua brush marker too on the ladder, but I coloured with the marker straight onto the page just to make it a little bit darker and stand out against the tree trunk as well. We've also got Jelly Roll Stardust, so little hints of blues and purples throughout the image, as well as the silver stardust around the window frames as well. Now I used the Kaiser Mist, the iridescent spray in black as well, but it's really hard to pick it up on camera. So this spray, when you're looking straight at it without the light, it just looks like black dots. But as you turn the page under a light, you can see different sort of colours shimmering through, and it is very fine glitter. So you may not be able to see it. I don't think it's going to pick it up. It kind of looks like, you know, if you have glitter on a page and then you rub it with your finger and it sort of comes off onto your finger and you have that sort of glittery residue left on your finger. That's sort of what it looks like on the page. I'm not sure if it's showing. It is quite hard to see. You've got to catch it under the right angle of the light. So that is Gnomes in the Neighbourhood by Denise Klett. Next up we have Flowerscape in Paradise by Maggie Interios. Now, I cannot get enough of this book. Although this is only the second page I've coloured in it, I could colour this entire book easily. I love that I don't have to choose a colour palette. I can just scan the QR code and it just gives me what I need. Not that you have to follow the colour reference. There's no rules to colouring. You can do whatever you like. But sometimes it's just nice to have someone pick the colours out for you already. So this one was quite simple. I used Polychromos pencils and then Jelly Roll Metallic and Stardust just to outline the leaves and the flowers, and you might be able to see that shine. So this is a colour along up on the channel. Now, I'm glad I chose to colour the background orange, as it's not really bringing out any new tones in the page, but it's still allowing the main image to pop. Whereas if I'd gone with my original thoughts of green or even blue, it would have blended into the page instead of allowing the main elements to stand out that little bit more. I do love that the image has these little postage stamp borders as well, so I don't have to worry about adding in anything extra to the background. So it was really quick and really simple to colour. And like I said, this one is up on the channel as a colour along, and that is Maggie Interios's Flowerscape in Paradise. So next up we have a page from Mein Reis durch Europa by Rita Berman. Okay, so this page I did not colour as a colour along. I have been getting a lot of messages asking me what colour combos I use for this page over on Instagram. Now, if I remember, I'll pop my colour tracker for this page up on Facebook in the Facebook group under the Prismacolor album. Someone remind me if I forget. Actually, let me see. I think I've got it here. I put it inside my swatch book, didn't I? Yeah. Oh, look, this is the one from the Denise Clayton Gnomes in the Neighbourhood. I don't know if you want to take a screenshot, if you're interested in the Chroma Flow combos or the Neo Color background combos that I use for that book. Take a screenshot. And this is the Rita Berman Europa. I haven't added all the colours in here, so I'll have to go back. Which one is that? Okay, so that blue flower combination is for the small blue flower. So I know people were more after the bigger ones. So I'll fill that in because I do know what colours I used. And then I'll put this colour tracker up on Facebook, in the Facebook group or on Instagram. You go have a look there. Oh, I can put it in the community tab up here too, can't I? So now, because I didn't do this as a colour along, and a lot of people had hoped that I had done it as a colour along, if you would like me to, I can find a similar page and recreate it and do it as a colour along. Preferably another floral motif. It doesn't necessarily have to be in this book or even in a Rita Berman book, any book. If you have a suggestion, just leave it down below. And also let me know if you are interested in a colour along with these combos too. Now, with the background, I was influenced by Chris Cheng. She does the most amazing bokeh effects on her backgrounds, and it's been a while since I've done one. So I thought it would just be perfect and fitting for this page, and to keep it sort of inside this little border that we were given as well. So this page here actually might not be a bad idea we can do matching colours, or there's a heart page, isn't it? This one here. Oh look, I've got some colour transfer. That we'll just rub off with a eraser. It should do. Yeah, come straight off. So that's another idea if you want it from this book. Otherwise, let me know. That's if you do want me to do a colour along recreating this. Let me know down below what book, what page, and I will try and get that done in July for you guys. So this is Prismacolor pencils, a Jelly Roll Stardust, which is just on the centre of the flowers there. We've got white Signo, which is just these little dots in the background and on these little flower buds and the centre of our flowers too. And Wink of Stella on our butterfly. So that is Rita Berman's Mein Reis durch Europa. Now that brings us to our first book in our full book colour alongs, Rooms of Wonder by Joanna Basford. So I've completed 2 pages in the book this month, bringing us a little closer with our full book colour along. I checked my Buddy Colour app the other day and we've completed 20% in this book, which actually sounds way more than what it looks like. When I flip through, it just feels like we've got so many pages left to colour in this book, which is not a bad thing. But it doesn't feel like we've completed 20%. It just looks quite empty still. So the first page I'm going to show you, you haven't seen yet. This has been completed as a colour along, obviously, because all the pages in this book will be, but I'm yet to edit and upload. So you should be seeing this page in a couple of days on the channel. One thing though, I was looking at the footage the other day, and I noticed that for about 15 to 20 minutes, the footage looks a little bit misty. I think my camera lens must have been dirty maybe, but it's fine beforehand and it's fine afterwards, so I don't know what's happened there. It's just really frustrating because I can't refilm it. So, I mean, the area's already coloured. I can't uncolour it and refilm it, so I have to deal with it, and it's really bugging my OCD and my perfectionism, but hopefully that part isn't too hard for you guys to follow. But if you have any questions, you can always let me know under the video. Now, this page was actually a lot of fun in the end. I had a picture in my head, and it did end up coming to fruition eventually, just how I hoped it was going to look. Now, I coloured the background first with this one, which I almost never do, and I felt a little disheartened afterwards. It just didn't look right to me, and it made me not want to finish this page, but I persevered, I kept going, kept telling myself just to trust the process, whilst at the same time telling myself, see, this is why we don't do backgrounds first, Karen. But thankfully, I didn't listen to that little voice in my head. And the end result was actually exactly what it was meant to look like in my head. I think what threw me off is the fact that I did do the background first. And normally I've had it all coloured, and the background I add to accentuate the main image, but I kind of did it opposite. But yeah, the end result was exactly what I wanted it to look like in my head, and I actually really enjoyed it once I started colouring all the little lost property. So what did I use? I used Prismacolor pencils for all the pencil work. We used some white Signo, just some accenting features, mainly on glass and on our jewels and stuff. Jelly Roll, Stardust and Metallic, just for some little added details. And you should be able to see that shine on the page. So, this should be up a couple of days after you see this video, I think, this colour along. Oh, and I'm thinking that maybe I might colour this page here next. I have a little bit of an idea in my head of what I want it to look like. So when I get back, I'll have a look at this page and see if I'm still feeling it, and this might be our next page, I think. If there's any other pages that you'd like to see me colour next in this book, just let me know as well. And I'll see. Here we go. Oh, there we go. This is the next one that we coloured this month as well. So I really loved colouring these jars. Now, when I first started colouring them, well, before I started colouring them, I actually had no plans. And then when I first started colouring, so I started on this one first, and my plan after colouring this was to colour the inside of each jar one of the colours of the rainbow. Now, I'm not actually sure at what point I changed my mind, but instead I decided to follow the colour palette through on opposing sides. So these three jars all contain the same colour combos, and then the same goes for these three. Take that off so you can actually see it. Now, one thing I do regret with this page is the soft blue pastel in the background. I absolutely love this page up until that point. The yellow pastel was a great addition. I think that really popped off the page, added to this really nice ambient effect. And I was thinking of adding in some bricks randomly behind the jars as well, but I decided to keep it simple. I'd already added in the shells and the lights, which I copied from the opposite page. But I should have stopped there because I'd given the jars, this blue background, I kind of thought the blue needed to have come from somewhere. So, hence why I added the blue behind the jar, so it looked like the blue was coming through the glass. Now, I'm being a bit hard on myself today, aren't I? But, I do like the colours that I use on the insides of the jars. I love the added extras that I put on there, and I love the bright yellow. Is just the blue from the background. And I mean, I could erase it, but what's done is done. It is what it is. And I do think it actually matches quite nicely to the opposite page as well. So I am quite happy with it. I just wish that I had not done the pastel blue background, and I would love it even more than I do. So that was our 2 pages from Joanna Basford's Rooms of Wonder. Now, let me know down below what pages you'd like to see next coloured from this book, but I am thinking that this page might be the next one. Hopefully we can colour more than one in the month of July, which would be great. So next is Mythic World by Kirby Rosannes, and I also coloured 2 pages in this book for a full book colour along as well. Now I will try and tag the colour alongs up above, otherwise you can find them all under my playlist. So all the completed pages for Mythic World are under my Mythic World playlist. And we've now completed, I think it was 60% of this book so far, so it is filling up, guys, and I actually can see the finish line in front of me now, which will be sad. It'll be sad to finish it, but exciting at the same time to have another book completed. Now, our first page was The Giant's Causeway. Oh, and before I talk about these pages, I just want to touch on the Kirby collab that we did with Alien Worlds for a second. And I just wanted to give you guys an update. So I have chatted with Kirby, and he has seen all of your work and all of your comments, and he loved the book as well. Now, I also had LOM Art, who are Kirby's publishers, ask for the video footage to share on their social media, which some of you may have seen Kirby reshare as well. And from that video, I was asked to contact a few of the colorists, and those were selected by the publishing company, nothing to do with me, just to get their permission for their coloured images to be used on the Amazon listings for Alien Worlds. There are a couple of people that haven't got back to me yet, I think, but I think what a wonderful outcome from this little project. And now some people will get to see their work displayed on the Amazon listings, which I think is wonderful, and congratulations to those guys. Okay, so back to the completed pages. So this first page is The Giant's Causeway. Now, this page has so many rocks. Luckily, I have patience, and it took a while. Those rocks did take a while. Now, if you are in the Facebook group, you would have seen me umming and ahhing over the background for this page. I had coloured everything except for their outfits, the sky and the clouds, and I wanted all those to tie in together, and I couldn't settle on a colour palette. So I was floating a few different ideas around, so dark and stormy with blacks and greys. There may be a burnt orange sky, also with some dark colours thrown into, or this bold and vibrant sky. And I put it out into the FB universe, and the responses were actually pretty evenly split. But I feel like I've done dark and stormy. I've also done an orange sunset. I've got so many blue skies here that it's not funny. So I am very much an I'll try anything once. What is the worst that can happen kind of girl? So I bit the bullet and went with the bold. Now, at first, I thought I'd made a big mistake. I thought it was going to be a disaster. It just did not look how I imagined it. I honestly thought, what did I do? I've ruined it, and I'm going to have to black it all out with Posca. But I think the error of my ways came from me originally trying to get a smooth blend with the background. Now, it was giving me rainbow ice block vibes. You know those the Lifesaver ice blocks? I don't know if anyone outside of Australia is going to know what I'm talking about. If I can find a picture, I will put it up here. But once I tried to smush the colour up a little bit more, instead of having this smooth linear gradient, it started to look much more like I wanted it to. I think it needed to be just that little bit rough rather than smooth and pretty. It just, with it being a little bit rough, it comes across a little bit more stormy as well, I think. Then I figured we're already going bold, so why not do some purple clouds? Again, what's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work out, I'll make them black. So then I brought the purple through from the clouds to the outfit as well. So we've got some purple in the sky, purple from the clouds, and I brought the purple to his outfit. I didn't want this guy to necessarily stand out too much. He's a little bit further back in the picture. You can see that with the depth of field, this guy's further from the camera, making him appear smaller. This guy here, however, he's giving main character energy. He's looking very Chris Hemsworth to me. So for his outfit, I thought I'd bring through the purple and the reds from the top of the sky. So I knew I wanted it to be red, but I didn't know what type of red. And if I'd done my usual like blood red, it would stand out too much and clash with this kind of red. So I wanted it to match. So I brought through the purple and reds from the top of the sky. Now, he was also meant to be a redhead, but I didn't make his hair a very vibrant shade as I was originally picturing a dark background. I didn't want his hair to be too bold and stand out too much, and I'm glad that I didn't, as the more muted tones that I use allow him to actually stand out against the vibrancy of the sky rather than clash with it. So this is now one of my favourite pages from the book, I think. So what did I use? We used Prismacolor pencils for all the pencil work, Neocolor 2s for the sky and the clouds, white Signo for all the accented pieces, and we've got Jelly Roll Glaze, which I used on their tattoos, Jelly Roll Stardust, which I've used on his sword, and Jelly Roll Metallic, which is on the gold of his armour as well. And I'll just lift that up. You might get to see some of that shine. So I really loved colouring that page. The rocks were a bit tedious to start with, but after a while it's sort of just mindless colouring when you're colouring something repetitive like that. So our next page, where are we? I put the bookmark on the wrong page. That's the page I'm thinking of doing next, actually. So next page is the Chimera, and this is another favourite of mine this month. I think this might be my most favourite. I don't know. This one, I also like the Giant's Causeway and the one from Rita Berman's Europa. They're my three favourites. Actually, no, I quite like the one from Rooms of Wonder that isn't up yet. I can't pick. Maybe this one. I think this one might be my very favourite. So I did the background first for this page as well. Now, the reason for that was I knew what colours I wanted to use for the background. But I was still up in the air about the colour palette for the rest of the page. I wanted the background to emanate fire, but I didn't want a bright red flame or even a blue flame. I actually did consider a blue flame at one point, but I settled on these autumnal colours. Again, I was feeling a bit of an autumnal palette with a few pages this month. Now to me, with the more ochre colours, with the burnt ochres and stuff like that, it does look like ashes and embers rather than a roaring bright red fire, which is the look I was going for. I wanted to be more a smouldering fire, so more a smoky scene rather than a flame. And I used different shades of greys to differentiate between the different rock forms. So we've got this darker rock down the bottom with the ashes falling, and then these are more, I think, warm greys, and then we used our cool greys on the broken pillars over here as well. Then with the Chimera itself, I coloured the line first in traditional line colours. Now the goat part I considered colouring black or white, but I didn't want it to contrast too much on the page. I wanted all the colours to coordinate well together and have that cohesive finish you can get with a limited palette rather than the pop you get from a contrast. And that in itself is what makes the entire page pop rather than just one element, in my opinion. Now the snake incorporates these deep reddish purple colours that I've brought through from not only the goat but also through from these flames as well. And with the stripes on the serpent, I thought about colouring them with my black Jelly Roll glaze, but I think that would have made this portion of the page look a little bit too dark, and I really liked the colour or the way they looked with no colour on them. So instead, I just added clear Wink of Stella onto the stripes and I left it at that. So what did I use? We used, and this is a colour along up on the channel, of course, Neocolor 2s for the background, Prismacolor pencils for all the pencil work. We've got Wink of Stella over here on our serpent. And then on the background is my beloved Kaisercraft shimmer spray in gold. I just love the added effect onto that fire. So I've done it darker on this side and then less gold as we come across the page. So thinking about what to colour for the month of July. Now, I did have this one on my radar. This might be our first colour along from this book. We have basically completed the entire front of this book. If I flip back through, I'll quickly flip through. So I think the first maybe 30 pages are all coloured. There is one, this one here. I am leaving this one for now until I can come up with a good idea for it. So everything else up until this one is complete. So this might be our next page for July. I've also had my eye on this one here. And yeah, I'm not sure. If we can get 2 or 3 done in the month, that'd be great. Any ideas, let me know down below of what page you'd like to see coloured next. Otherwise, that is all of the pages that I coloured in the month of June. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all again in the next one. Have a fantastic day. Stay warm if you're here in the Southern Hemisphere, and I hope it's nice and cool for you up in the Northern Hemisphere in summer up there. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.